The first time the judge looked at my daughter, the whole courtroom forgot how to breathe. By the time her little thumb pressed play, my parents were already learning what silence sounds like when it turns against you. 3 months earlier, I was rinsing strawberries when my mother called and asked me to come to dinner on Friday. Her voice had that syrupy softness she used when she wanted something ugly to sound loving. I almost said no. I had a deadline, a sink full of dishes, and my daughter on the rug building a zoo out of cereal boxes. But old habits are expensive, and mine had always been paid in obedience. My name is Clara. I am 35, an architect, and a single mother to a 7-year-old girl named Nora who notices everything adults think they hide. I design homes for people who want to feel safe inside their own walls. The joke was that I had spent years building safety for strangers while renting my peace from my own family. The cottage behind my parents' house had once been a storage shed with one broken window and a tired roof. After my divorce, when Nora's breathing treatments drained my savings, my father said I could use it temporarily if I made it livable on my own dime. I drew plans, pulled permits, paid for materials, and spent every spare hour turning splinters into a home. New wiring, new plumbing, a little porch, yellow paint in Nora's room. It was not a gift. It was a rescue mission, with invoices. At dinner, everything felt too neat. Matching plates, cloth napkins. My sister Ava arrived late in a cream dress with the smile she wore whenever life was about to reward her for being selfish. Nora sat beside me drawing purple-winged horses on the back of a grocery list. Halfway through the meal, my father tapped his glass. We have news. My mother took Ava's hand. They're engaged. I smiled. Congratulations. Then my father kept talking. And we've decided to help them get started. Family should help family. That sentence always sounds beautiful right before it becomes a weapon. My mother slid a glossy folder across the table. On the front was a watercolor rendering of my cottage. Except it no longer looked like mine. The shutters were green instead of blue. My flower boxes were gone. Across the top, in elegant script, were the words Ava and Bennett's first home. I looked at my mother. What is this? Ava gave a little laugh. It's a concept board. For what? My father set down his fork. For the transfer. The room went still. The what? My mother folded her hands. Your sister is settling down. She needs stability. You've had that cottage long enough. I built that cottage. You renovated it. My father corrected. The property is still ours. Under the table, Nora's hand found mine. Ava sipped wine. You always knew it was temporary. There's a kind of pain that feels so cold it almost passes for clarity. I felt it then. Temporary, I said. Doesn't mean you get to hand it to her like a party favor. My mother's mouth tightened. We're making a sensible family decision. Nora looked at the board and whispered, Mommy, why is my room pink on the paper? Mine is yellow. No one answered her. Dinner ended with my father accusing me of ruining a celebration and Ava saying she had never seen me. So emotional. In the car, Nora asked, Are Grandma and Grandpa taking our house? I gripped the wheel. They're trying something unfair. She stared out the window. That's worse. The next week, the pressure spread fast. My mother started texting in soft little manipulations. We should talk calmly. Don't make this uglier than it has to be. Your father is heartbroken. Ava sent paint swatches for our transition plan, as if eviction were a seasonal update. My father stopped by while I was at work and left a new mailbox by the curb with Ava's married name taped over mine. That night, I called my ex, Ethan, because he was still the only person who knew how quiet I got when I was furious. They put a mailbox outside. I said, For you? For Ava. He went silent. Then, Do you want me to take Nora for a few days? No, I want her with me. Then tell me what you need. What I needed was impossible. I needed my family to become people I did not have to survive. Since that was unavailable, I asked for records. Every transfer he had marked for house repairs. Every email from when my father asked him to help move drywall. At work, I tried to keep my face neutral. Then my managing partner called me into his office. He closed the door. Clara, I got a strange call. My back tightened. From a woman who said she was your mother. Of course. He looked down at his notes. She implied there's a legal dispute over your housing and suggested you may have used firm resources on a personal structure, built on contested property. Humiliation is bad enough in private. In public, it grows teeth. I kept my voice calm. I did not. I used my own equipment, my own license, and filed permits myself. I can prove it. He nodded. I figured. I wanted you to hear it from me, not through gossip. By Thursday, my aunt had left a voicemail saying maybe I should let Ava have her moment. A cousin texted asking whether it was true I had been squatting. My mother liked a church friend's comment praising her. Generosity for helping one daughter become a homeowner. I did not scream. I made folders, receipts, utility transfers, permit applications, hardware invoices, screenshots of texts where my father thanked me for fixing drainage because his exact words, you saved us thousands. Every time something arrived, I printed it, labeled it, stacked it. Nora called it my paper castle. The formal notice arrived on a gray Monday in an envelope too stiff to be innocent. Petition for possession. Demand to vacate. Their lawyer described my occupancy as permissive, and no longer aligned with the family's intended use of the dwelling. Intended use. Such polished words for theft. My coffee went cold beside my hand. My chest felt tight enough to crack. Nora walked in wearing mismatched socks and saw my face. Is it bad? I crouched to meet her eyes. It's serious. Are we leaving? Not if I can help it, I thought. Out loud, I said, no one is making us leave today. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer named Dahlia who wore charcoal suits and spoke in short, clean sentences that made me trust her instantly. She read the notice, asked a few questions, and said, do you have proof of your financial contribution and their knowledge of it? Yes. Do you have anything showing pressure before the filing? I handed her my phone. She read my mother's texts, Ava's messages, my father's warning that courts dislike ungrateful daughters. Then she set the phone down and said, they're not subtle. No. Good. Subtle people are harder. On the way home, I stopped for groceries because survival is rude like that. You can be one signature away from losing your home and still need milk. Near the bread aisle, I saw Ava with 2 women from her bridal group. When she spotted me, her whole face changed into pity, arranged as kindness. Clara, I was going to call. No, you weren't. She lowered her voice just enough to sound gracious. Dragging this out is only going to upset Nora. My card handle dug into my palms. Using my child's name as leverage is a terrible look. Her smile flickered. Bennett and I want to start a family. She wanted to build a future by standing in mine. I leaned closer. Then start one in a house you didn't decorate out of somebody else's grief. She went pale. That night, I found Nora lining up stuffed animals on the windowsill. One had a sticker that said Judge Bear. Another said Mailbox Frog. What are you doing? I asked. Practicing. For what? In case people ask questions. My throat tightened. Who asked you questions? She looked down. Grandma did. On Saturday when you were in the shower. Ice moved through me. What did she ask? If I liked pink walls better than yellow, and if Mommy would want a fresh start somewhere smaller. Nora picked at the sticker edge. She said secrets can help families. I sat beside her so fast the bed creaked. Listen to me. No adult gets to ask you secret questions about our home, ever. I know, she said quietly. I didn't answer. I pulled her into my arms. Over her shoulder, near the bookshelf, I noticed her tablet charging beside her headphones. She used it for reading apps, piano games, and recording silly stories in different voices. I looked at it for one extra beat without knowing why. After she fell asleep, I walked through the cottage room by room. Every corner carried the weight of what it had cost me. The lamp I rewired, the shelves I hung, the garden bed Nora and I dug. Temporary does not leave fingerprints this deep. I stood by the back door and made myself a promise so quietly it almost sounded like prayer. They were not going to smile me out of the life I had built. By the end of the month, the hearing was set. My mother cried to relatives about my cruelty. My father told anyone who would listen that I had become transactional. Ava posted a picture of a ceramic house ornament with the caption manifesting new keys. I saved that too. The night before court, Nora asked, "Can judges tell when grown-ups are lying?" "Not all the time," I said, looking at the stack of folders on the table. "But enough." Then she surprised me by hugging me first. By morning, my fear had hardened into something more useful. Not courage exactly, precision. In the courthouse hallway, under lights so cold they made everyone look already judged, my mother would not meet my eyes. My father stared past me. Ava wore white, as if innocence were an outfit you could steam the night before. And just before we were called in, Nora tightened her grip on her little backpack and whispered, almost to herself, "Okay." I kept it safe. The bailiff opened the door, and everything in me went quiet, in the way storms do right before they break. Nora walked beside me with her backpack clutched to her chest, watchful in that way children get when adults have lied too close to them. Inside, the courtroom smelled like old paper and polished wood. Their lawyer stood first, all smooth confidence. He called the cottage a family asset, a transitional arrangement, an act of parental generosity that had simply reached its natural end. He described Ava as a young bride trying to begin her life with dignity, as if my home were some ceremonial gift box waiting for a ribbon. Dahlia rose when it was our turn. She moved through our evidence like she was laying brick. Receipts, permits, messages, utility transfers, photographs of the shed before I rebuilt it and photographs after. My father shifted when the images hit the screen. Rotten floorboards, broken panes patched with plastic, then the aftershots. New windows, finished cabinetry, Nora's yellow room with the paper stars she had taped over her bed. The judge looked over her glasses. "Counsel, this does not appear to be casual occupancy." Their lawyer adjusted his tie. "The plaintiffs acknowledge improvements were made, Your Honor, but improvements do not create ownership." "No," Dahlia said evenly, "but inducement, reliance, contribution, and bad faith all matter when a family invites one daughter to invest in a structure and then attempts to dispossess her for the convenience of another." My father was called next. He said he had only ever meant to help me during a rough patch. He said the family had never agreed to permanent occupancy. He said he had no idea I was spending so much on the cottage. Dahlia handed him a printed message. "Did you send this text?" His jaw tightened. "Yes." She read it aloud. "Thank you for covering the trench, the rewiring, and the permits. I know it's a lot, But this setup helps everyone. She paused. Does that refresh your memory? He looked toward the gallery. I was speaking loosely. Were you also speaking loosely when you told my client that if she ever left, the cottage would be hers to sell back to the family at cost? His head snapped up. Mine did too. I had forgotten that message. Dahlia had not. Then my mother took the stand and cried almost immediately. Not the real kind. The tidy kind. She said she loved me. She said this lawsuit had broken her heart. She said she feared I had become unstable since the divorce. She even implied that a move to a smaller apartment might be healthier for Nora and me. I went cold all over. Dahlia let the silence sit. Then she asked, Mrs. Vale, did you contact your daughter's employer? My mother blinked. I only expressed concern. Did you contact members of your church and extended family to describe my client as unstable, ungrateful, and financially reckless? I was seeking prayer. That almost made the judge smile. Ava took the stand after her and delivered exactly the performance I expected. Soft voice. Hurt eyes. She said she had never wanted conflict. She said she and her fiancé had already made plans based on my parents' promises. She said she had walked through the cottage imagining a nursery one day. Dahlia asked, Did you enter the cottage without permission after litigation became likely? Ava's chin lifted. I'm family. That was not my question. I may have stopped by. And during any of those visits, did you remove or handle safety equipment? Ava frowned. No. Then it happened. A small tug on my sleeve. Nora. Her face was pale, but her voice came out steady. Mom? I leaned down. What is it? She looked at the judge instead of me. Can I show something? It's important. The courtroom stilled so completely I could hear the vent hum. The judge studied her. What would you like to show us, sweetheart? Nora held up her tablet with both hands. A video. Mommy doesn't know I kept it because I thought maybe I was supposed to forget. But I think I'm not supposed to forget bad secrets. Something inside me dropped. The judge asked, Is this related to the cottage? Nora nodded. Yes, ma'am. Their lawyer stood quickly. Your Honor, surely we are not going to admit unsworn material from a child without foundation. The judge's voice cooled. Counsel, sit down. We will determine foundation. Dahlia approached gently. Nora, can you tell the court what the video is? Nora swallowed. I use my tablet to make toy movies. Sometimes I forget to stop the camera. That day I hid it on the shelf. What day was that? Dahlia asked. The day Grandma came when Mommy was at work and Aunt Ava said I should play outside. The tablet was connected. The screen lit up. At first, all anyone could see was a crooked view of the living room and a strip of sunlight across the floor. Then voices. My mother's first. She keeps every receipt. I told you she would. Ava answered. Sharper than I had ever heard her in public. Then we stopped the inspection and force a delay. Bennett is losing patience. My mother sighed. Just do it quickly. Then Ava stepped into frame. She went straight to the hallway panel where the backup unit for the ventilation monitor sat. The whole backup unit I had installed after Nora's last respiratory scare. My mother stood watch near the window. Ava laughed under her breath. If the unit flags dead at inspection, they'll say the cottage doesn't meet code and she'll have to vacate before she can appeal. My mother did not stop her. She only said, And take the permit folder if you see it. Then my daughter's voice floated from off-screen. Grandma? My mother turned so fast her face almost blurred. Oh, there you are, Nora said, small and confused. Why are you touching our breathing thing? Ava smiled at the empty room like she was practicing for witnesses. It's just grown-up stuff, honey. Secret helper stuff. The clip kept going. My mother opened my desk drawer. If Clara had been less difficult, none of this would be necessary. Ava tucked the unit into her tote. She always makes everything harder than it has to be. The video ended in static and silence. No one moved. Then the judge looked down at them with a face that had become almost frighteningly calm. Is there any reason this court should not treat that as evidence of deliberate interference, bad faith litigation, and attempted endangerment of a minor child's residence? My mother's mouth opened, then closed again. It was misunderstood. Ava's face had gone white in a way no blazer could fix. Their lawyer stood, sat, then stood again. Your Honor, there may be context. There is, the judge said. I just watched it. Everything after that moved fast. Dahlia requested sanctions. Dismissal with prejudice, and a protective order. The judge granted it. Petition dismissed. No entry. No contact at the cottage. No harassment through employers, family pressure, or community channels. When the gavel came down, it did not sound dramatic. It sounded final. Ava started crying first, real tears this time. My mother grabbed her hand like the performance might still be salvageable. My father looked at me then, finally looked at me, and what I saw in his face was not remorse, it was disbelief. In the hallway, he caught up to me. You let a child do that in court? I turned slowly. No, you forced a child to know what adults really are. He flinched. My mother came next, voice shaking. Clara, please. We panicked. Ava needed a home. I adjusted Nora's backpack on my shoulder. Then you should have helped her find one. Ava stepped forward, mascara streaked. You always ruin everything. That was the old script. The one where I carried the blame because it made everyone else lighter. No, I said. I just stopped volunteering to be the floor. We left them standing there beneath the courthouse lights, 3 people who had mistaken access for love and entitlement for family. That afternoon, I changed every lock on the cottage. Then I changed the gate code. The fallout came in waves. My aunt sent a message about forgiveness. I replied with a therapist's number and nothing else. My cousin apologized for believing gossip. A week later, Ava's fiancé called me from an unknown number. I didn't know, he said immediately, about any of it. He exhaled. The wedding's off. When the call ended, I did not feel joy. Just relief. Nora and I repainted the porch that weekend. Same blue as before. She chose a brass plaque for the side door. On it, she asked me to engrave 3 words. No secret helpers. I laughed so hard I cried, and then I cried a little harder because for the first time in months, it did not feel like grief. It felt like pressure leaving the body. My mother still sends messages sometimes. She says she misses us. She says families should heal, but healing is not the same thing as reopening a wound because the knife says it is sorry. The cottage is still ours, mine and Nora's. At night, when I turn the deadbolt, the click no longer sounds defensive. It sounds earned. Last evening, Nora taped a new drawing beside the door. It showed our little blue cottage, 1 bright yellow window, and 3 stick figures outside the gate, with speech bubbles she had crossed out in black. Above the roof she wrote, in careful uneven letters, home means they can't trick us anymore. I kissed the top of her head and tucked her into bed beneath the paper stars. Then I stood in the hallway, hand resting near the vent monitor, listening to the soft, safe hum of a house nobody could take by smiling. They tried to evict me so my sister could own her first home. Instead, under cold courtroom lights, my daughter gave the judge the truth, and the only thing my family walked away owning was the shame they had hidden too badly to survive being seen.